Peace and God bless. Yah is a strong one. The strong one is Yah. He's the tree of life. He's the fountain of living waters. He's the spirit and creator of all things that live and breathe. On this particular discourse, I'm going to talk about the fountain of living waters. What is it? Where does it come from? What is its purpose? It's a great many of you have been hearing about this increase of the lifespan of the people in the future that you read about in Isaiah chapter 65, verse number 20. Okay? So how is this lifespan going to be increased? Whenever we build the third temple, as you all see right here in front of you, this is a schematic of the third temple. Okay? Whenever the first sacrifice is put on the altar right here, you see right there in the middle right there, that's the altar sacrifice. When the first sacrifice is put on, okay? All right. Then Yah will come to the temple. All of humanity that's alive at that time will witness this. Okay? The same way he came to the tabernacle of Moses, the same way he came to Solomon's temple, the very first temple. Now, Yah departed from the temple because of what our people were doing, especially the Levites during that time who were running the temple, because they were turning and worshiping the sun and worshiping the moon and the stars. They had all kind of figurines and stuff that they had hid in the temple. Okay, you can read about that in the book. All right, but they were doing these things, horrible things inside the temple. That's why Yah allowed Nebuchadnezzar to come in 606 BCE down to 586 BCE to take us out of the land. Okay, I'm talking about the tribe of Yehuda, because the northern tribes had been removed in 722 BCE. Okay, so they had been removed long before that. Then he came in and removed Yehuda also. Okay, from 606 BCE down to 586 BCE. All right, so that's just a little bit of history. All right, about what happened. And then his presence departed from Solomon's temple. All right. And when they came out of Babylon after the 70 years exact, right? When they came out of the first Babylon, I'm talking about the Ezra, Nehemiah, Zerubbabel, when they came out to build what was called the second temple during the second temple era, okay, Yah did not come to that temple. But what he did was give Ezekiel a vision about this third temple that would be built during the millennium. Okay, and what some people call the last days, but the earth does not end, so there is no actual really such thing as a last days. Okay, now, so he gave us the schematic. He gave us how it's supposed to look. He gave us all the measurements, and many people know what it looks like. Okay, so it's not a secret. He gave this to the whole house of Israel. Okay, you read that in the book of Ezekiel, chapters 40 to 47. Okay, so now when it came to the tabernacle, he only gave that to Moses to build, and then Moses had people build it, based on their skill, right? The tabernacle, but the first temple of Solomon, not tabernacle, the first temple of Solomon, he gave to David. He gave the instructions to King David, and King David gave the instructions to Solomon, and then Solomon had it built. Okay? So that's the history on that. Okay? Now, these instructions are given basically to everybody, because anybody can open up what they call the Old Testament, right? The Book of Remembrance, and read and see what the blueprint's supposed to look like. Okay? All right. So once this is done, coming up here in a little while, And Yah comes through this east gate, outer east gate, through the inner east gate. Then he goes into the temple and goes back into the oracle. When he's there, he will release a fountain of living waters. Living waters, because anything that water touches, it causes things to regenerate, to reinvigorate. Okay? So it starts off a small little trickle coming out the temple doorway, and it goes around the altar, goes over here, okay, on the south side or north-south side of what's called the inner east gate and the outer east gate. Then it goes out into the actual land of Israel, comes down into the city, all the way down to the desert. It waters the whole entire state of what they call Israel today. That's what will happen. So there'll be fruit trees growing everywhere, all kind of vegetation that was not there. It will actually, I think, transform all that desert land down there, okay, in the Negev desert. Transform all that from desert to all of a sudden be vegetation and things growing out there. It won't look the same as it looks today. As the book tells us, it'll be like the Garden of Eden. That's how it'll look, okay? When this fountain of living waters comes from the third temple, from God himself, okay? Then it will also split off and it go into the Mediterranean Sea, right? And then it goes into the Dead Sea. And the Dead Sea, as we know, have no fish in it right now because of the salt. They call it the Salt Sea also, right? Well, when this happens with this fountain of living waters, when it touches it, there'll be fish back in there again. And people will go on those banks and fish, okay? Because there'll be fish back in there. And that will be one of the most amazing miracles to ever happen, okay? Because right now it's all salty, right? I'm talking about the Dead Sea, all right? All right, so very, very important and extremely interesting phenomena that will occur in the future, especially after we build this temple right here, the third temple, unto Yah, okay? His holy Hakal, his holy house, okay? Then, this will turn into, if you notice when you read Ezekiel, it starts off a trickle and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It turns into like an awesome river that's going to run through Israel. So, it's going to look a little different as far as the terrain is concerned whenever this miracle happens, okay? And anybody who touches that fountain of living waters or gets in it, it will cause them to be reinvigorated, okay? So that, in turn, is what will cause us to be able to age differently, okay? Where, our age of 100 will be thought of as being a child. That's what Isaiah 65:20 tells you. That age of 100. If you make it to 100 and you don't get past the 100, we're going to be like, man, okay, he must have did something bad, before Yah, that he died at 100 years old. Okay, because it's going to be increased like back in the days of Genesis. And maybe not as many years as they got, because you read Genesis, man, they lived a long time. 950 years, I think, was the longest lifespan. I think that was Jared. Okay? Long time, Adam and Noah. They lived a long time. All right? Some of them didn't have kids till they were like 90. All right? Kind of crazy, right? Anyway, but that's the fountain of living waters, and that's the purpose of it. Okay? To reinvigorate the earth, okay? To heal the earth, to heal us, to heal our bodies. Now, no one lives forever. Someday you will have to die, okay? But you will certainly live a lot longer than you would have had you stayed in America. Let's just say it like that, okay? All right, because, the lifespan today, average lifespan is like 60, 65 years. Most people only make it to about like 40. Most people, okay? Some type of disease hits them about 35. By the time they're 40, 45, they gone. Heart disease, diabetes, lupus, or anything in general, any kind of disease out there, cancer, et cetera, man. Okay? All right. Now here's one of the great and magnificent promises right here. The Most High talks about right here in Joel chapter 3, verse number 21. But Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. You hear that? For Yah dwelleth in Zion. Okay, now how's that going to happen? How's it going to cleanse our blood, Because there's not going to be dialysis going on over there when we get there. Okay, that they use today, and it still doesn't do a very good job, right? I think that dialysis stuff just causes people more pain than, they actually need to go through, right? Anyway, for I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. For Yah dwelleth in Zion. Okay? This is what's going to happen. When they jump in this lake, it'll be like a lake, it'll be like a river. I mean, read Ezekiel, tells you it turns into a river. Starts off really small, then turns into a river that's going to flow through the land of Israel. It'll turn to a great river. And that's how that process is going to happen. Okay? Cleanse our blood that have not been cleansed. Okay? Because we know today, even if you're in good health, man, your blood is probably extremely dirty. The liver itself, that organ, it filters the blood, right? Along with your kidneys and different things like that. But still, the diets that we've, been eating, I'm talking about coming from being a child all the way to being an adult, this fast foods and all that kind of stuff right there, not good for the body, right? Okay? So, bloodstreams, need to be filtered. Okay? I'm not saying through dialysis, even though there are people, who have certain, blood-borne diseases that, causes them to have to, go have dialysis, right? But when this happens right here, there'll be no need for dialysis machines. Okay? All right? The Most High himself is doing this. He's causing this to happen because he's going to dwell with us here on this earth. And that's the reason why I give you guys all these laws and these statutes and these commands about what Yah wants you to be clean before his presence. Because in order for him to dwell here with us, as it tells you in the book of Ezekiel, right? Chapters 40 through 47. In order for him to dwell with mankind, as it did back in the book of Genesis, right? Stride for stride, right? Striding right next to us, right? Inside of his house, right? We have to be a clean people. That's why I did with that video about the woman's menstrual cycle. Okay? Very important that the woman keep herself clean. After she has children, she's unclean, X amount of days. Okay? 33 days and then 66 days. Okay? For a boy and girl. Depends on which one it is. And then she'll come to the temple. She'll walk through these doors with her sacrifice. And she'll be deemed clean again. And she walks back out. Simple as that. It's not a hard process. She'll bring whatever's necessary with her. Okay? She'll either buy it at a market or she'll have it, on her lot. Okay? Simple as that. Because the women will be coming here probably more than men. Okay? With the exception of, naturally the feast days, right? The festival days, everybody will be here, right? But the women will be coming here more often because they have menstrual cycles. And once the menstrual cycle is over, they have to be deemed clean by the priest. Okay? So they'll come here, drop off their sacrifices, and they'll walk back out and they'll leave. Okay? Which in this case, if she comes in the north gate, she'll have to traverse around and go out south gate. Okay? If she comes in the south gate, she'll traverse around and go off the north gate. That's one of the rules of the house. Very important to know these things, okay? So you guys, when I make these videos, man, I'm not making them just to be making them, okay? I'm making them to give you guys information. I'm trying to prepare you. I'm trying to make you ready for this lifestyle. It's totally different, man, from what's going on in America, but it's still going to be fun, okay? All right? It's just, Yah has rules to cleanness and uncleanliness that we do not understand and that we must know. Okay, and start understanding, as a people, as a nation, okay, as citizens of the earth. Okay? He cannot dwell with us just any kind of way. Okay? Including, it can be food, it can be yourself, your bodily fluids, etc., etc. Okay? So, once you get into unclean state, well, then he'll tell you how to, get back clean in his eyesight, that he may be able to, dwell with us here on this earth. Okay? And that's what mostly the Torah has. Now, so a person would probably ask, because it'll take 3 to 5 years to build this temple. Okay? Because it has to be perfect in every sense of the matter according to all its dimensions. Okay? Before this happens right here, because we'll be in the land and the temple won't be built when we first get there, right? Maybe, like I said, probably 4 or 5 years before it'll be completed. So we go to Zechariah chapter 13 and we read the first verse. Okay? So when we get there, Yah's going to cause this to happen. Okay? In that day, okay, that means in the future, there should be a fountain opened to the house of David. Okay? And to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, for sin and for uncleanness. Okay? That uncleanness is talking about, in particular, childbirth when a woman's unclean, and in particular, the woman's menstrual cycle. So when she gets done, then she'll come to wherever this fountain is. I'm not sure where it's going to be located. Y'all let us know. Wherever it may be located at, she'll come to this fountain. She'll dip herself in it. And she'll go about her business. Okay? She'll be clean. All right? All right. But this is going to be a temporary fountain for us until this is completed. Okay? This will be temporary. All right? You notice it says for sin and for uncleanness. So we told you nobody can die for your sin, man. You notice this fountain is for that. Because you've done something you're not supposed to do. You sin in some kind of way. You come to this fountain, you dip yourself in it, you go. Okay, or if she's fresh off her menstrual and her 7 days over, well, on the eighth day, she'll come dip herself in this fountain and go. Simple stuff, man. Nothing hard about it. Okay, nothing hard about it at all. All right, but these things are very, very important to know. Okay, so this is what will happen in the future: blood being cleansed. Very important to a lot of people, because some people already have all kinds of different, blood-borne diseases, okay? Most High, all that stuff's going to be healed. That's what's going to cause your lifespan to be longer, okay? Can I get some hallelujahs? I don't know about y'all, but, hey, we can make it past 100 years, boy, that's excellent. Because these days, man, people ain't making it very far at all, man. You go in some of these hospitals, man, these children's hospitals, man, they'll make you cry, man. See all them children in there, man, they almost getting ready to die, man. They ain't number 5 years old, man. Sad, man. For any of you who haven't ever been in a hospital before, seen that, you ought to visit a children's hospital sometimes, man. It'll humble you. Trust and believe me, it'll humble you. Now, this is Isaiah chapter 65, verse 20, okay? Where it tells you about the fountain of living waters coming out of the third temple. There shall no more be thence an infant of days, nor an old man that have not filled his days, okay? In the future, everybody's going to fill their days, okay? For the child shall die 100 years old, okay? Now what that means is what? We're going to think of 100 years old as being a child's age. Because of this fountain of living waters is going to do what? Like I told you, it's going to increase the lifespan. Okay, it's going to increase it. So that 100 years old seems very, very young to us. We're going to think of it as a child's age. And the only way you won't live out your days is what? It tells you right here. But the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. In other words, somebody who died at 100, we're going to be saying, oh man, they did something bad to God because, God took them, off the earth, at 100 years old. Because during these days, coming up in the millennium, we're going to look at that as very, 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 very young to die at 100 years old. If you died at 100 years old, you've done something. You're accursed of Yah because you've done something you're not supposed to be doing. Okay? That caused you not to get the however many years you're going to give it. It could be, 200, 300, 400. We don't know. But certainly, if 100 years old is a child's age, it's probably around, 200 or 300, years that he might give us in the future. Okay? if we be obedient to his laws, man, and eat correctly and take care of our bodies and do the things he asks us to do. Stay in a clean state. Once you get into an unclean state, you figure it out. Okay. When you get back into a clean state again, it's not a pressurized thing. It's just whenever you find it out, you got to get back to being clean again. Okay. And you got to go to this book and this Torah and read about it. Okay. Or you ask a priest, Levitical priest. Okay. Or you ask the high priest. Okay. You can ask me. All right. All right. After the order of Melchizedek. All right. Different order, but still I have to understand what happens in this Torah law, in this book. Okay. Now, as you can see right here in verse number 22, when we get back to the land, explains a whole lot to you. Okay. Talking about the children of Israel. Okay. Verse 21, let's start there. And they shall build houses and inhabit them. Okay. And they shall plant vineyards, right, and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit, like we do today, right? They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree, very important. I keep telling you guys about this tree. Okay? As the days of a tree, because you cut a tree down and look at its rings, and you can see exactly how long it's been, on earth, or how long it's been planted. Okay? And trees live a long time, right? Right? So it's telling you right here, it's reiterating what it's telling you up here about these hundreds of years we're going to get in the future, right? Okay? Definitely an increased lifespan. Because if you guys go to the book of Genesis, you see where they have those long lifespans, then the Most High decreased it down to 120 years. So you guys read a story talking about somebody got past 120, they lying. Okay? Because the Most High, he truncated. He compressed, the lifespan from those 900 and 500, 400 years down to 120. Read the book of Genesis, okay? That's why very few people make it past 100, 101. Some get to 110. That's about it. You know what I mean? But anyway, okay? But we're not going to build and other people inhabit. We're not going to plant and other people eat because we're going to be free. We're going to be set free by Yah, right? Okay? For as the days of a tree are the days of my people. Mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. We're going to enjoy the work of our hands. Okay? I'm going to talk about that on another video. Okay? But very, very important to know. As the days of a tree are the days of my people. The tree lives a long time, right? Okay then. Well, that tells you exactly what's going on up here. The same thing. Okay? Well, a child shall die 100 years old. That's going to be 100 years old. It's going to be thought of as a child's age in the millennium. Okay? See that? Well, that's what's going to cause it to happen. All right? Because the blood's going to get purged. When your blood is purged, that's like having, brand new plumbing. When your blood is purged. That's what it's like. Okay? So very, 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 very important. Okay? All right. And I'll leave you guys with Isaiah chapter 4. Okay. And I'll give you guys 3 and 4, and then we'll let it go on this video. Okay. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion, okay, and he that remaineth in Jerusalem shall be called holy. Okay. Whoever's left. Okay. Even everyone that is written among the living in Jerusalem. When Yah shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, okay, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof, by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning, okay, shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem, made your blood clean. Same thing it's talking about over there in Joel chapter 3, verse 21. It's going to purge our blood. It's going to cleanse our blood. And that's how it's going to be done. Okay? But until then, we'll have the fountain opened up to the house of David and the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and uncleanness. Okay? Until we get the temple built and completed. And until we see this miracle right here happen on earth before everybody's eyes. Great and mighty are the promises of God. And he does deliver on those things which are true. He is those things which are true and facts. Okay? Thank you all for listening. Be sure to go to this book here in these particular chapters and read and study and you pray. Thank you all for listening. Peace. God bless.